IVM.
TFG Football is an IVM production, and you can also check out their other awesome shows like Geek Fruit with fellow and television geeks Tejas, Jishnu and Dinkar as they discuss the world of science fiction and nerd culture.
You're listening to TFG Football.
Hello everyone, it's a great day, but it feels a little empty in the studio. Siju is not joining us, so I'll be your host for today. I'm Kevin, joining me is Chiranjit. Chiranjit, we will be previewing the last two teams of the ISL, and these also happen to be the newest teams in the ISL. So Bengaluru and Jamshedpur is what we'll be previewing today. What are your thoughts, Chiranjit? Two new teams in the ISL. Was this something that we had expected? It took a long way for Bengaluru to reach here, and they've ditched the national league, as you always keep saying.
Yeah, well, they were always going to add two teams. That's what they had been saying since they first unveiled the restructuring plan. So there was no restructuring, but they added two new teams anyway, which works out for everybody because we got one new team in the system. Bengaluru FC were already pretty active. But Jamshedpur FC having a team outlet out of the Tata Football Academy, a franchise in the ISL, that works out pretty well for the state of Jharkhand. So it's good that we have two new teams. I just keep saying two new teams. It's one new team and one team from the other league that have come into ISL. I would have preferred to see Bengaluru FC remain in the top division. Just hold out till ISL itself becomes the top division before joining it. But they did what they had to do. And also the fact that this is the best time to make the transition for them, because if once the restructuring happens, you're going to have East Bengal, Mohun Bagan, maybe some other clubs also coming in, which is going to muddy the waters a little bit in the ISL, in just the ISL context, because lots of new teams, a lot of rewriting of rules and all that stuff. Now that Bengaluru FC are just one of two new teams coming in into the ISL system, they are getting better care or better initiation. More attention from the organizers in the part of like, okay, let's build this team up. So in that way, it makes perfect sense for Bengaluru FC to be in the ISL right now.
On that note, we shall head directly into the goal of Bengaluru, where the big man himself, Gurpreet Singh Sandhu, will be there, along with a couple of players in the goal as well. Calvin Abhishek will be there, and Abraham Mandal always is there available. But Laltan Maviar Alte, now he's the one who has played in place of Amrinder last year when he was out of the tournament, or I think was it injury or was it suspension? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's there in goal. Yeah,
so he's there in goal, but he was not the first choice keeper last season as well. Yeah. So maybe Bengaluru FC were holding out for Gurpreet Singh, and they had a plan for the whole thing anyway. Of course, he comes in, and then Ralte gets quote unquote injured, and suddenly Gurpreet Singh Sandhu is in the squad from the very start, which is a very ridiculous way of getting him into the squad anyway. Because come on, it's Gurpreet Singh Sandhu. He's the national team goalkeeper. He's just fresh out of Europe, playing for Stabæk. If you sign him, why can't you play him? Like what is this ridiculousness? Mm-hmm. What is this bullshit basically? Like it's my player. I signed him. Why can't I play him because you have some bullshit draft rules? So it's basically this is the biggest downside to the move has been. I keep saying this: the breaking up of the set squad that they had built up over the years. They did not need to make that sacrifice.
Yeah.
They did. Yeah. Okay. But just Gurpreet Singh Sandhu, other than Daniel Alimpuya, would have been just straight up victims of this ridiculous system that ISL employs that pretty much restricts the movement of Indian players altogether. By the way, there is no restriction on foreign players, because they come in from the open market anyway. So why this double standard? I don't understand. They have mitigated the disaster thanks to the very fortunately timed, I would say, injury that Ralte got, and Gurpreet is in the squad now. So now they're without a problem. Otherwise, they could have been in a bad spot. because you start the ISL season and Poirier has not been playing the AFC Cup games either. So Poirier would be coming in fully fresh, and he would be facing the big teams in ISL. And you make a bad start, suddenly you are in a world of trouble. So that's not happening for Bengaluru FC.
Now, does that also mean Gurpreet Singh Sandhu will only play unless the injury to Ralte is there, or is it now all open now? There's no restriction anymore.
No. He's coming in because of the injury to Ralte. They have this weird thing that only in the January transfer market can you add more players or sign more players or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Daniel Alimpuya will probably not get a chance to play before January unless somebody else also has an injury. So all those permutations and combinations are being employed to work around those stupid rules that ISL has. But yeah, it's for now it's okay. They have got Gurpreet Singh Sandhu, unless Gurpreet gets some very unfortunate and equally out of the ordinary kind of injury. They're set.
So looking at the defense now, Rahul Beke always was a first choice, and looking at the experience that he brings to the team, and he did. The AFC campaign is where we saw his debut for Bengaluru FC. Along with that, he will be joined by a couple of foreigners. That's Wanan and John Johnson have always been there in the defense. And joining these two, obviously Rahul Beke is one of the names that was standing out once he was into the Bengaluru team. So along with that, there's Zongming Liana Ralte, who comes in from the northeast. Along with that is Colin Branches, and obviously you cannot forget Subhashis Bose, who's there. Harmanjot Kabra. Now he has been used in all places. Now we've seen his versatility shown. He can play in the defense. He can also play as a defensive midfielder. So what do you see, Chiranjit? A defensive more? Do you see their strength in their defense, Bengaluru?
Yeah, it's a pretty set defense now. They lost the semi-finals of AFC Cup to Istiklal, but the defense really did well in those games. They were up against some superior sides, and they held up well. Even in the pre-season friendlies, when Bengaluru FC played their full strength defense, they did well. They did not waver too much. So it looks okay. At the beginning, I would be worried about Bengaluru FC having a few new guys in the defense, but it seems like they've had enough practice. So now there's no more excuse, basically.
Yeah. So
they will have to go in. Like fully functional from the get-go.
No, one name I totally missed is Nishu Kumar there. No, he's one of the young guys who really showed he's got the potential, and way back when he was in the squad, and looking at his progress right now, he surely shows that he's come along a long way.
See, Nishu has been on an upward journey ever since he came into the Bengaluru FC fold, and he's made his presence known even in the Asian tournaments. So, of course, to have him around, he was one of the players that Bengaluru FC snapped up early. So, yeah, you need to have somebody like that in the midfield. But I'm a little bit concerned whether he will be starting too often this time. He might get subbed out for one of the foreign players, but hopefully there will be enough playing time for him simply because you can bring a lot of variations into the squad through substitutions. So I see him on average getting at least 30 to 40 minutes per game. Even that is saying if Roka does not start him in ISL.
Yeah,
that is a big if. He might just start him, but even if he does not start, he will get enough game time.
Yeah. That's it. Now that's about the defense, and coming to the midfield. Dimas Delgado, obviously he's made his place secure there. He's played a great role in the midfield. Now he can operate both. He can support the forward players and also help out the defense. So for me, Dimas is always going to be starting. That's what my feeling is. Along with that, you do have Eric Partalu. He is more of a winger. So he's also part of the midfield. So Robin Singh and Bidyanand are the two names that come out when Bengaluru did start season, and these are the two players that they got in early in the season. And along with that, obviously Alvin George is there, and followed by Haukip. Now there are already two Haukips there. Bautang is there in the midfield, and in the forward line there's Thongko Sim. So coming to the midfield, Tony is there. Chiranjit, your thoughts on the midfield of Bengaluru FC?
Yeah, it's Tony, Eric, everybody you need there to be. Basically, this is a midfield that puts on a good show away from home against Istiklal. Don't forget that almost Bengaluru FC got a draw in that game, which says way more about the team than any 6-1 win they have over a team like Chennai City or something. So it's a experienced midfield. It's a different looking midfield than most of Bengaluru FC's history, simply because of the increased number of foreigners. But I don't think that changes the character of that midfield, which is always to be fluid, try to play some possession football. Although they have under Roca, they have been happy with the other team, keeping the ball and just holding on to their shape and just trying to take whatever chances that come their way. So I would say it has become more diverse in so many words. So we are good for them, but you would see a midfield like this or a similar field that Bengaluru FC would field in I-League. You know what I mean? It would be intimidating. Bengaluru FC were literally intimidating, especially in the last two seasons in I-League. Although last season in I-League just went out of hand, they finished fourth. So in ISL, it just does not look that out of the place. Unless Bengaluru FC can outdo the other teams through teamwork, sheer teamwork. The way they bring the flow into the game. Unless they outdo the other teams in the midfield through teamwork, this is not the most. This is not the biggest thing you see in ISL.
Yeah.
So that way, it's competitive. That's all I would say at this point.
So heading into the department that is going to get them the goals, Sunil Chetri, obviously the big star, he's there. Along with that, there will be Daniel Lalin Puya. So Chiranjit, what combination do you think Roca might go ahead? Now he's got an option of Daniel, who's young but he's capable, but he's also got in the forward line Miku. Now Miku is coming in from a country now that has played some good top division leagues. Now Braulio is also there, Braulio Nobrega. So what combination do you think Roca will go ahead?
It should be Chetri, obviously. Daniel is gonna get a bit role even when he comes into the squad. You're gonna have one of the foreigners also starting, which is gonna be very new for Bengaluru FC. They always used to rely on the Indians to get their goals.
Yeah.
And that sort of set them apart from many other clubs. This time they have 6 or 8 foreigners on the squad. They're gonna have some striking options out there. Even if they mean it as a replacement for Sunil Chetri, it doesn't matter. They will. I think if they are just trying to play with one target man in a given game, it's gonna be Sunil Chetri. If they go with 2 strikers, they're gonna bring in the foreigner, and it might actually be. I mean, this may be the first time that Sunil Chetri sort of, for a legitimate reason, gets asked to move to the left wing. to the thoda sa left mein jaake khelo because the other guy is playing better than you. The last time that happened, that was in Mumbai City. That was not for a legitimate reason. That was simply because Nicolas Anelka wanted more attention for himself. So he moved Sunil Chhetri out of the central striker role. But yeah, then Sunil Chhetri either moves to the left or he comes a little bit deep down, as he does sometimes with Jay. They sort of make those adjustments. Sunil becomes the classic number 10 again.
Yeah.
So yeah, all of those will come into play, and this is probably a good thing to have in the Bengaluru FC squad, because they will have a literal competition going on between two of their main strikers as to who sort of gets to perform better and gets to keep the guy with the crown kind of a thing. Of course, Sunil Chhetri is going to be the captain. He's the leader. But yeah, he's going to face a lot of competition up front as well, which is a new thing and a good thing.
Yeah. So just summing up a final word on this Bengaluru team, what impact they can bring in the first season of ISL?
I would like to see them. I think they're going into the top 4 anyway, because that's what Roka does. He thrives in the semi-final, final, knockout kind of situations. Just do enough to get into the top 4, then we will take the next step. And not worry about having to win every match along the way. Yeah. Roka sort of likes that setup, likes that situation. I think he's gonna like being in ISL because you just have to finish top 4. And I think Bengaluru FC will do that very easily. It's unwise to go beyond that. If you ask me, are Bengaluru FC gonna win the league? I could make a call if there was no semi-final and final. Okay, but simply because there is, all the logistical calculations that you make now goes out of the window because everybody has to play a playoff. So that way we can't say that these guys are gonna immediately be in a title race or something like that, because there is no title race in ISL.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. They're gonna probably do well and get into the top 4.
All right. So that's Bengaluru FC review for you of the ISL, their debut in the ISL. And on that note, we will take a quick break, and on the other side, we will be previewing Jamshedpur FC.
Hello, I'm Sanjeev.
And I'm Tushar.
And this is the Rotomout Podcast, a weekly show where we talk about motors and motoring in India. Cars, bikes, rickshaws, buses, friends, familiars, and time pass.
Find us every week on the IVM podcast app or any other app you might use. Stuck in traffic? Put on Rotomouth. Taking a while in the loo? Rotomouth is there for you.
Dude, that sounded particularly disgusting.
Thank you. But seriously, catch Rotomouth every week.
Alright guys, welcome back after the break, and as we said, we'll be previewing the other team which is playing in the ISL for the first time. So this is Jamshedpur FC. Steve Kopelka heads this team, and along with Ishfaq Ahmed, who've been a combination that led the Kerala Blasters team to a final last season. And it's this time of the year that we see combinations of the assistant and the head coach work in any team's favor. So Chiranjit, what is your overall look and feel of this team? What do you feel of Jamshedpur FC coming in?
Yeah, well, Jamshedpur FC, the one look at the squad and it tells you that this is not a newbie team. Right? It may be the newest team in the block, but the people behind the team are not new to Indian football at all. They're coming in with experience. They've got enough ammunition to work with, and I think they would have put together a better team if they didn't have to go through the draft process. But going through the draft process did them one thing. It let them pick up Subrata Paul pretty easily without competition.
Yeah,
basically that is their biggest coup in the draft. It's good to see them come in. It's good to see them put together a team with such a good blend of youth and experience. They've got some good experienced players in all different departments. They got Subroto in the goal. They got Mehta Hussain in the defensive midfield. It's pretty balanced. They got in Steve Coppell, which has helped them get in a couple of other players. I mean, not get in, but they can trust that this coach has worked with these players before. So there's not going to be that jumpstart problem that many ISL teams often face, because they change their teams completely from season to season, and they bring in a new coach, and going into the tournament they don't know whether this works. The relationship between coaches and players will work in the context of a tournament. So that hopefully will not be an issue with Jamshedpur FC. They're trying to establish a new identity, a new club, new everything basically. So having that familiarity, having that little bit of experience in the side will help them.
Yeah. Just looking at the defense over here, now they've got pretty good options. They've got two foreign defenders in Andre Paiki and Thierry. Obviously, he's played before. But looking at the Indian defense, Anas, he's a standout player there. He's going to be the man whom all the teams will be trying to beat. But who pairs along with him will be interesting. Now, there's Robin Gurung, Sairuat Kima is there along with Sovik Ghosh. But do not forget Yumnam Raju. Now, he's one guy who looks definitely a solid guy in the defense.
Yumnam Raju has sort of, I think he's been building up. He was doing so well at one point, and suddenly it seems like he disappeared from the limelight, went a bit low key with his performances. But maybe this is the whole platform that he needed to rediscover himself. Now, that being said, it just getting into the first year struggle for him. It's not going to be that easy to get in there ahead of Anas and the others. Yeah. So, it's a packed defense. I think they knew that, they knew the new guy, everybody's going to be a little bit extra attacking against you, expect you to fold under pressure. So the first thing you need to do is thoda pichwada bachana hai. Just you pack your defense so that nothing goes too bad right at the beginning, because that will ruin the entire season for you. So in that way, it's pretty good. And in many ways, when Steve Coppell was with Kerala Blasters, he faced a similar problem. His defense was not working properly, but he worked on it, and he turned everything around. And Kerala Blasters finished second in the points table, and reached the final last season. So that way, he already knows that pressure. He has already been through it once. So even if he gets that pressure early on in the season, he's not gonna be like, "What am I gonna do?" He will know what to do because he's already done it before. So that's another plus point.
Yeah, that's a great point to bring up, because obviously we've seen Kerala Blasters not get up to the best of starts, but the recovery was good, and you've seen how they finished second in the table. So looking at the midfield of Jamshedpur FC, one name that becomes an anchor in the midfield is obviously Mehtab Hussain. Now he's left East Bengal because he could not win the title of I-League with them, so he kept his word. He will be there with Vikas Jairu. Obviously this guy is getting regular starts at the national level. Sovik Chakraborty, and one particular name which is very interesting to me is Samik Duti. Now this South African was a wonder boy when he played for ATK last year, and he comes back to join in the midfield. And two other Brazilians in the team in the midfield. That's Matheus Gonçalves and Memo. Now these both have prior experience in ISL. Chiranjit, what do you make of this midfield of Jamshedpur?
You got a lot of ISL experience. I think there's a bit of a difference between an experience and ISL experience, because ISL can be a very different experience for players when they come in. So it's good that they've gone for people who have already worked in the ISL context. They've got the Indian stalwarts there. They've got some former ISL players also. ISL players who formerly played for other teams also in the mix. So that way it's pretty okay, and on paper it looks good. Now you just have to see how it works, because They played East Bengal, did not work out that well, and part of it was down to the midfield still getting its touch together. Simply, they got outplayed in the midfield. So I think there's a bit of a it still got some way to go before the players sort of cement themselves together as a unit. But even if you have that trouble at the beginning, I'm pretty sure that Jamshedpur FC have enough in them to make the turnaround, make it work as everything goes along.
And for me, the midfield is what will need to stand out, because the forward department doesn't look like it's packing a punch. Just look at the names. Indian names, I would go first. Ashim Biswas. Now he's a guy who's coming back after a long spell of absence. Ashim Biswas will get an experience, but then I'm not sure if he's a man who can deliver at the time when it's required. Farooq Chaudhary is one young fellow in the team. Also, not to forget Jerry Mamung-Thanga. Now these two guys are young, they're fast, but are they able to deliver quickly as the ISL requires them to do? I have a doubt. Also, there's one foreign guy, that's Ndiaye, Tala Ndiaye. So he is an African, he's a Cameroonian. Now, Chiranjeev, do you think this team can get going with the goals department as soon as the season begins?
Well, for players like Jerry, who came into the high level of football with new clubs, basically. Jerry Mamung-Thanga came into I-League with ISL FC. It's a bit of a question mark you always have, because you have not seen them perform in that level before. But when the club steps up, they do step up as well, and he has proven his talent. He's earned his place in Jamshedpur FC through the work he has done. It was not a discovery project that Jamshedpur FC took up when they signed Jerry Mamung-Thanga. So yeah, it's good that he's there. I think he's gonna get a lot more game time than it appears on paper. Looking at the others who are there, I'm not the most excited about the Jamshedpur FC attack. I think they could have done a little bit better.
Chiranjeev, there's one name, there's a Kopel connection here. Kervins Belfort is the one who's coming back with rejoining Kopel from Kerala Blasters. Now, he did not have a great season, but do you think this could be a change for him? Because last year we've seen appearances and maybe played out of position, a problem for him in the team. Could you think that can be rectified by Kopel in this season?
Maybe Kopel will play him out of position again. Who knows? So, having that familiarity with the coach helps. But even with him, even let's say he just comes to his best forms yet and scores 6-7 goals, who else is going to step up and complement it with an equal number of goals? Goal scoring may be a problem with Jamshedpur FC. That's what it seems right now. This may a symptom of not having that kind of prior experience of working in a draft system, because this is what you need to do. You need to sort of load up on your Indian attack early on in the draft as much as you can, which did not happen. Who knows? I think Jamshedpur FC will have a hard time getting into the top 4, but if they do, then they're just not going to be. If they get into top 4 somehow, they hit a run of good form. But once they're in that top 4, and now we're talking about semi-finals and extra times and penalties and all of that, suddenly they're looking good.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of an ATK syndrome that's going on here.
You have to get that connection somehow. All right. So that concludes the ISL previews of all teams. And on that note, we will also end the show. We will be back to you tomorrow with another episode. Till then, you can...
We're going to do the curtain raiser. Curtain raiser tomorrow. We have KBFC versus ATK happening in Kochi tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll be previewing the entire season. We'll be previewing the match as well.
Yeah, that's there for all that in tomorrow's show. If you're listening to us on YouTube, do not forget to like, share, subscribe and comment and let us know your thoughts on the teams that we previewed today. You can also download the IVM Podcast app, which is available on Android and iOS, and do follow @TFG Football for all the football news in the Indian circuit. And that's a wrap, guys. Till another episode. See you. Bye.
That was Tantrik Steve from Hansraj College, Delhi, performing at IIT Bombay's Mood Indigo. Just like them, there's a lot of new talent and art coming out of colleges all across India, but unfortunately most of this goes completely unnoticed or ignored. To fix this, we started Ep.218. Hi, I'm Ankur, I'm a musician and a rapper, and I found that one of the best things about being an artist myself is finding new talent. Through Ep.218, Tanya, my colleague who's a dancer, and our whole team really is putting all of our efforts into discovering and promoting all the coolest talent that's coming out of colleges all across India. And this goes up on our website, our social media, TV, radio, and now, of course, this podcast with IVM. Make sure you go to our website, support the talent with your likes, your shares, your comments. All of that really matters. Go ahead, check it out. Ep.218.
एक्सक्यूज मी भैया, एक्सक्यूज मी।
बोलिए मैडम।
मेन्यू में क्या है?
मेन्यू में सीन अनसीन है, पॉडकास्ट है, ऑन कोर्स है, साइरस है, मेड इन इंडिया, रीडिस्कवरी प्रोजेक्ट, एम्पावरिंग सीरीज, सेक्स वैक्स है, IVM लाइक्स है, सिंप्लीफाइड है, कीपिंग इट क्वियर है, टिंग्स एंड डेस्टिनेशंस है, माय नेबर जकरबर्ग है और द फैन गराज है। आपको क्या चाहिए?
एक बार रिपीट कर देंगे क्या?
रिपीट नहीं करता हम। आप जाओ IVMpodcast.com पे और सुनो ये सब, या फिर डाउनलोड करो उनका ऐप, सब आपकी उंगलियों पे।